Good evening. Thank you for taking this most delightful trek with us. Live long and prosper as always. Today's installment is about Discoveries, Season 4, Episode 4, titled All is Possible. I was most captivated about the idea that the Federation was fast tracking Navarre's application for Federation membership. But before Navarre is able to do this, Navarre basically wants an exit clause, and this exit clause allows them to leave the Federation at any point for any reason. So basically, the past is prologue. Navarre is saying they're going to have special consideration that they're going to be deemed different than all the other member worlds. And of course, I don't believe anything that comes out of Irilik's mouth. I believe she's manipulative. She's a damn Cardi. And I'm not talking about Cardi B. I'm talking about the Kardashians. And so, of course, the Discovery crew has been asked to save the day yet again. And of course, there are other things happening in this particular episode. Colbert tries to fix Book and to help him deal with his depression. Also, Tilly leads a group of ensigns who seem to work best alone. As they leave on their away mission, they mistakenly land on an L-class moon. All right, I got all of that out of the way. Before we go any further, I want to take this time to allow you to like, follow, join, subscribe, comment, and share on whatever medium you're currently finding yourself watching or listening to us on. Real quick, please, my other co-hosts, guests, please introduce yourselves to everyone. Let's start with Manny.
Hey guys, I'm Manny. Good to see you guys. That's
I'm
it.
Brandon.
I'm Marie.
And Will refuses to talk because he's eating.
He's
So
eating.
I don't know what's going on with that. Because
I'm
William
sorry,
actually
I
has the
have
first
this to say
question.
about that.
Oh, okay.
You have
Apparently,
wine.
it's
You
spilling
got
into
wine.
our thing.
You're so lucky.
I came
just
prepared
deleted.
this time. Please note the size of this glass. Like I was JV when the last time I tried this. No. I have leveled up.
I feel like you're reclaiming my throne.
No, that is a tiara to which I cannot aspire.
William, you actually have the first question. You do. So I don't know what you're gonna do. Why do you think Tarina contacted Rillik secretly? And why do you think Rillik was so able to shine in that moment of shady, shisty duplicity?
Ooh. We got a lot of ease there, my friend. We got a lot of ease there. You're up in your game so that Manny's going to have to come up with another belabor.
Stop.
I won't.
It was a lot of alliteration. But yes, let's keep it moving. William.
I mean, look at him. Look at that smile. He's like, yeah, I got it. I'm giving you time to swallow, William.
Hey.
That's what I'm doing.
Hello.
Are you with us now?
Okay. Well, first of all, and this is the only time I'm gonna swear on this episode, Jermaine, you are not shit for that. You were literally calling me out while I was eating my food, and that's fine. That's fine. You just put extra. I got your extra. Well, clearly there's some shady mess going on. Okay, and as far as what Burnham saw, that's just like the tip of the iceberg, in my opinion. I think there's definitely a lot more to it that's going on that Rillik knows. Like definitely, like look, Marie, do you want me to go off the same way I went off 2 days ago?
No, not yet. Not yet. Save it for the end.
We got time. We got time.
We got time because
Mm-hmm.
I can take you there. I can go 0 to 100. Just let me know.
No. Calm down. Get your thought out first, because we have
Okay.
nice people on the channel today.
Okay. I have not seen the newest episode that came out today, but I did see All Is Possible, and it just alluded to the fact that there is more than they're letting on, and not just to Burnham, but to even to us as the viewers. So it's like, okay, clearly she is liar. And I will say that Jermaine called her out. I did too, even though clearly no one paid attention. But yeah, the woman's lying. She's as I quote to myself, she's a liar. Yeah. So that I can't answer the question directly as to like why. I just know that there's a bunch of shady mess, lying mess. I won't say Section 31 level, but I will say like political scandal level. Like you really know what's going on. Almost like 2012, where the presidents of the world knew what was going on for the first 8 years and no one found out until the last 3 months type level of secrecy. That's what I think.
I mean,
Okay.
this is normal diplomatic process, right? Like, I mean, this happens on a not
Yeah.
infrequent basis.
Yeah.
That this is called a back channel communication, and it's completely. I mean, it's completely normal. Now, I mean, it looks shady because it kind of is, because what everybody's trying to do is advance an agenda while still maintaining face with their own support systems and
Right.
that kind of thing. So I mean, everybody's like, "This is awful. This is blah 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 blah." Jermaine, I'm looking at you. Um, but it's not. This is normal. This happens all the time. I got emails like this back when I was a person.
So happens all the time. Have we ever seen this in Star Trek?
That's a good point, because we rather infrequently actually see the macro political issues in Star Trek. We don't really see. We've never really seen the opportunity to have like governments coming together. Yes, I know we had Kittimer and we saw that, but the actual negotiation process was such a minor part of Star Trek 6, that it really, really, really doesn't necessarily matter. And and with Garrick and the invasion of Cardassia, again, we're not. That was such a different situation because it was very ad hoc. This is literally calculations between heads of state is what's going on here. And this is really kind of new territory because while there are politics going on as the backdrop for a lot of events and things that we've seen on screen, we've never really sat down and dealt consistently with heads of state like this.
I agree. And so I
I'm
wonder.
glad.
No, I agree. And so I wonder what we as viewers are left to think about this. I mean, when we think of the Federation, we think of open and honest and, like the duplicity, like Section 31 in and of itself, because it was mentioned earlier. Section 31 is duplicitous, to its core. And so we reject it. I mean, we love it for the storyline's sake, but we reject it because it's antithetical to what the Federation is, what Starfleet is. And so I wonder what we're left to believe and assume based
But
off of
also
what we're seeing.
remember, until 3191, the Federation has been a major power. And now the Federation is coming from such a place of weakness that I think we're seeing a very, very different Federation and how that's going. And that's kind of what Kovich wants to do with Tilly when he invites her to come and teach at Starfleet Academy because he thinks that some of that has been lost and he wants to inculcate the, incoming officers in that kind of belief system. But we're just not there yet, guys.
I mean, if you think about it, I mean, Starfleet did like literally. It's like when Burnham and the rest of Discovery traveled to the future 1,900 years. My bad, not 1,900, but just 900 years in the future. It's almost like they traveled further back to the past from a perspective of how far back the Federation has been pushed back and just miniaturized because of the burn. So it's
I
a
really
lot
like
of things
that
that's
because
going on.
because it really takes us to what Enterprise should have been.
Right. So there's a lot of perspective there that's going on. It's like you would think that when you go into the future, you're in this vast alliance that probably connects all four corners of our galaxy and everything. No, No.
38 worlds doing their
Sorry.
best and
Sorry,
trying to
guys.
avoid the DMA. Which looks like
Apparently,
a giant
the
creepy eye.
Federation was taking up too much water and didn't realize it. Then, boom, all their ships blew up. That's what happens when you space out and you forget all the ones you started with.
The little people.
The little people.
Let them eat cake. No. So we saw Tarina basically lead Saru down the path of compromise, right? She was kind of like throwing it at him. But what I'm
Do you
most
get the feeling
interested
she has
in.
a Vulcan crush on him? Because I do.
Wait, my question. But what I'm most interested in is, do you think she and Saru are going to have their own Ponfar anytime soon?
No.
You don't think so?
I don't think Ponfar necessarily, because that's just such a thing. And also, I love Brandon. Like, he's just kind
That
of
Ponfar is too damn far.
It is.
Okay.
It is. I like that. Too damn far. I need that on a T-shirt. Maybe that's what we're gonna start with, like Trekker's Delight swag, and it's gonna be Ponfar too damn far.
I like that.
I like that actually. Not bad.
Well, are you saying that because she's old?
I think Brandon should be the model.
I think I honestly think she's got too much invested, and I think she's very aware of who she is and what she's doing, and I don't think she's necessarily going to pursue anything, but I don't think she's not going to pursue anything. Does that make sense?
It does. Brandon, you were chuckling. What's going on?
Well, okay. In the episode before this, she was very friendly with Book.
Yeah.
In this episode, she's friendly with Saru. Before that, in the episode previous to that, she seemed rather, not necessarily distant, but not as distant as I was expect from Burnham. For being a Vulcan, she seems like she's really embracing emotion, and that kind of disturbs me as someone who holds Tuvok in such extreme regard as the epitome of Vulcan goes. And I don't know.
Manny?
I really have no opinion on this. I don't see it. Maybe I'm missing something. I just don't see it.
Hey.
Yeah, I hope you all can see the comments in the chat.
Watching.
Oh my god.
I'm here for it.
Manny, what are your thoughts?
I think Star Trek is really known for having like deep camaraderies, deep friendships. I think that you're seeing, it actually goes to a comment that I made in a previous thing where I talked about how I didn't think Tarina showed enough emotion, and Marie pointed out that maybe it was more sophisticated time and so forth. And so what I'll say is that reunification probably made them more balanced, and they're more able. I think that the Vulcans' main kryptonite, I mean to use that word, but their main flaw was their inability to, even Tuvok mentioned it. He's like, I would gladly, give up a little bit of this in order to be able to experience my emotion in a healthy way. So I think that she's experiencing emotion in a healthy way, but I think they're just nods to this crew because, as Brandon pointed out, each one of those episodes, Tarina has been entangled with one of those people from the ship. So whether it's Burnham or Tilly or Saru, I think it's just because it's Nivar. I think it's just because she's the head of Nivar, and they just had with Giovanni that entanglement. They brought her in. Then we happened to do the Nivar episode, and then I think with Saru, I think it's just a meeting of the minds. They're just like Saru is, and I will maintain that Saru is going to be one of the most important characters in this season. Absolutely, I think they're building him up to something, and I think that thread is being pulled through, and he is building an ally in her. And that moment where they do the meditation and stuff is just between, like, would Tuvok say that about Kes, or, would you say that between Sarek and like Picard or something? It's less sexual for me and more a satisfaction of friendship.
I think, just like we see some.
I mean, I'm going to say the best relationships start as friendships.
Right. Just like we see some qualities in Rillet, we might arguably see some qualities in Tarina. Not saying that I don't trust her. I trust her with my life compared to trusting Rillick. So I think I didn't really see it with Book, but I can kind of see like the sapiosexual that's attraction by intellect, nature between her and Saru, like a little spark. I don't think it's really gonna go anywhere, honestly, but I do believe that they'll appreciate their company with each other. I think that.
To what extent?
That's it.
I feel like you've got an
No, I
agenda
mean-
here.
I mean,
No.
look,
I really don't. Like, I'm really
I
just
feel like- I
interested
feel
in
like
exploring.
William is like in an internal rehabilitation.
Look, so I don't know. This is what episode number 4, and we have seen, and to some extent, we've seen Navarre in I think every episode. So Navarre is going to be critical, and I think that we need to understand this particular character if we're going to be thinking about Navarre, to the extent that we're able to get something from the character. Let's explore.
Also, I like that we're getting an idea of what's actually going on politically on Navarre as well, which is something they started last season and that we're definitely moving forward with this season. Because, apparently Tarina runs a coalition government that's comprised of, the Romulan group and then the Vulcan purists. Remember, these are the same Vulcan purists that tried to kill Michael Burnham, that were after Spock, and all of that. It's really depressing that they're still around 1,000 years later. Really, really
Okay.
depressing.
Okay, so
That does
we've
not give me
been
hope, guys.
we've been talking about emotions. All right, so we see the crew dealing with lots of emotions and new realities. All right, they've coped all up until now, but we are starting to see some tender moments, especially in this particular episode. We see Book and Culber at the end of the episode, and Book asks Culber if he wants to share his thoughts, share his opinions, his feelings. Why do you think Culber, Manny? Why do you think Culber, a trained psychologist, is so reluctant to share in that moment?
Being, when you're a soldier and you are down with and you're far away from the resources that you need, it's suspicious that there isn't already a counselor like assigned to Discovery. Like there's a manpower shortage. It must be obvious or something. But so Culber, who was their comrade, is now double hatting as a counselor and a medical officer and counseling Book. I would say that he shared a little, but not a lot. And that's to maintain the distance, the professional distance, so that it didn't devolve away from the medical part of that, which is to say that he shared a little, and he made a point of saying that. He's like, well, clinically we don't share this, but it's going to help in this moment because we're comrades. And that is the case. When you're actually like side by side, elbow to elbow with someone, it matters that you share a little. But he also is keeping that professional distance so that Book knows that there's also a distance there. And I think that Book asked the question also in a roundabout way to get us to see that Culber still hasn't really gotten over what happened with Stamets. And, for a while there, it seemed like he was existing for Stamets. He wanted, not that he felt suicidal, but he just felt like why am I here? It became very existential and not, he didn't really want to come back, but then he did, and he needed to live for different reasons. But if you're living for another human being, it's a very difficult existence. And so he's probably, I think, still got that pain holding on to it. And there is when you're a trauma counselor, a lot of trauma counselors, even drug counselors, they are ex-druggies themselves or ex-traumatic survivors themselves because they know the experience. And so maybe he's also helping himself. I know that ideal as well. When you go through something really difficult, you want to help other people. That charitable action actually helps with your own healing. So I think that that's what's happening.
I've seen the next episode and I want to say things, but I'm not going to.
Same
I haven't seen it.
I am the person that I hated last week.
I don't know. I haven't seen. I like to not pollute my mind with that extra stuff so that I can like make these trajectories and stuff. But as we mentioned before, maybe we'll actually have to catch up because we're an episode behind in the reels. So if anyone wants to respond to what I said, please feel free. Like I'm done.
I concur from the perspective of where I was from. You can say that I was a counselor, a big brother, an encourager, the therapist to a lot of people. And when you were living for other people 100%, it's not the most healthy. It's not the most healthy thing. So, in that moment when they ask, okay, that this is my pain, what's your pain? Well, you already know. Not to say that their pain doesn't matter, but you already know that your pain 10 times dominates over like almost whatever they have to say. And you don't want to like drag them into it because they'll feel guilty. They're like, oh my God, I'm sorry. Oh my God, I had no idea. And I'm like, well, yeah. They're like, how did you not kill you? I literally have people ask me this at least 3 times a month. How did you not kill yourself, William? Well, I don't know. But I'm still here, and I like Star Trek, so that's something to live for. But it's like, William, you're so simple. Like you took care of your mom. Your ex did this, and I'm just like, I'm not gonna. Why would I die? Like Discovery comes on a new episode every week now. Like I miss it. Like no. Why?
That's number 2, Mister.
Right. Like,
So are we keeping a swear jar now? Like, are you doing?
No, we ought to because he puts them out.
That's like my 3rd curse word so far. I'm really trying to change, guys.
I'm trying not to swear at all, but if it's appropriately placed, we did get a swear in this Adira. Is it Adira?
Oh yeah, she said mother.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that sounds like someone.
And when they do that, it's really precious, and I kind of want to be.
I love it.
Babies
it's indicative of evolution. It's like I like that they're pushing this forward. Everything in its own place, and this place is far flung.
Like I really love that they're separating Gray and Adira and asking Adira to stand on their own feet and make some decisions. And I really thought it was interesting that the script put Adira with Tilly in this very Galileo 7 episode. Because this felt very, very much like the Galileo episode, just without the side of like racism that Spock ended up with.
Yeah.
So it's so fun. So last week when we did our live show, so William, he had a video clip, and of course everyone, like no one could hear what he had to say because the video was
Is that Michael?
Yeah, it was Michael. So what he was basically saying was like he applauded the fact that Tilly was willing to move on in the face of her issues, just the strength to move on in and of itself relieves you of some of the stress and burdens that you're going through, and you're able to put yourself in a new and better situation. Brandon, have you ever been in a situation where you just went not left but right? Instead of going the typical route, you went the other route and you ended up in a better place?
You do know that he is right?
He is right.
In the right. You do know. I mean, while we're here, I'm cool with it. Like, I'm cool. I'm kind of like a moderate myself. I'm kind of in the middle. Like, yeah. I'm sorry.
I really feel like you're calling somebody out right now.
Yeah,
I'm cool.
I didn't know.
I'm good. I'm kind of lost a little bit because on my screen I'm on the left.
You're on the left
side.
side.
I was gonna say you're.
So
on the left.
I'm like, what are you talking about? I'm on the left. What? But no. It's kind of an odd situation, but I understand where William's coming from. And the only way to really to answer your question, Jermaine, is if you look at where I was raised and where I'm at now, I am in a much better place than I was at one point because I made some different choices than the choices I was heading down.
Right.
And I was on I was on the verge of doing something really stupid, and thankfully, a good buddy of mine literally talked me down from what I was going to do, and I made some better choices. And I looked at my life from a different perspective, and I realized one of the things, and this is something that I'd like to talk about in a different topic, in a different circumstance at some point. But the reality is, when you accept yourself for who you are, as you, when you accept your own personal identity as you, then you can actually reach out and actually understand who people are and can help them where they're at. And then you can try to help them recognize who they are. And I think it comes down to a differentiation of what you are versus who you are. And I think that's really the critical point. Now, like Marie, I have seen the next episode, but I'm going to take that and I'm going to take it out of my head and I'm going to set it aside. When it comes to Culver and his relationship and all that kind of stuff, with what's going on and him being the counselor for the crew, we have to remember, again, we have to go back. None of the crews really dealt with them leaving the past behind. On top of that, he died.
Yeah, he pulled.
On top of that, he came back, but is he really the same guy? And has he come to terms with all of that? And then he's thrown into this kind of a mix. So I look at him as a...
Brandon, you did a really good job. You did a really good job of touching the next episode, but not really. You stayed in previous. So you did an excellent job. I just want to let you know.
The funny thing is, I was actually thinking about that before I even saw the episode, because I'm like, just look at his character. Look at what's going on with him. He's confused about who he is, because what he thinks he is different than who he is. And I think that's the differential point. He thinks that he needs to be someone, needs to do something for the crew. And instead, he's got the other crew that's trying to reach out to him, and he's not letting anybody in. And I find that a really interesting point, because I've seen that. I've been there. I've done that. And I've come out of it thanks to other people making sure that they penetrate the shell that I have around me.
So you too have come back from the dead.
In a lot of ways, yes.
Fair enough.
Picard droid?
In the chat.
Is that what we're calling it? Picard droid?
I'm gonna call it that. That's also possibly a candidate for a T-shirt.
We'll release our own
card anymore now that he's a golem.
Oh well, yeah.
We'll save the regalia, the attire. What's it called?
Merchandise
for
merchandising for later.
For later.
I don't know. I went a little bit of a different direction, because I see like Tilly having gotten to the point that she thought she wanted, and that it turns out that that's not what she wanted. Like, this isn't a question of Tilly, making bad choices or whatever. Like, this is literally Tilly, pursuing something for what it turns out to be the wrong reasons. And I mean, like, looking
been there, done that too.
Like, looking at my own life, I'm not even on plan B. Like, I'm somewhere in the M's, maybe, as far as how that goes.
Okay.
So I kind of get that, and I really love the idea that she's letting herself be open to that.
Absolute candor.
And learning that, and that's pretty legit. And yeah, absolute candor is such an interesting concept. I really love that they brought that forward from Star Trek Picard, because it's so fun and it's so interesting. Because in a lot of ways, these characters are really, really good at lying to themselves.
Yeah, have we noticed how? Well, of course we've noticed, but let's just put it out here in this particular episode. There's so much from Picard that they're bringing into this show this season. I mean, it's Navarre, it's the Kawat Malat, just the whole idea of absolute candor. It's like all of these different things we're seeing directly from Picard, and I wonder if not necessarily like a I don't know what it's called, a crossover, but like, are they going to continue to piggyback off of each other?
I think they will, honestly, because that's the whole reason why we've gotten the clear go on season 3 of Picard on top of season 2 being ready to be aired. They're obviously going to build on each other. The fact that they're referencing it and that Picard references a lot of the 90s era Trek, I think it's a matter of building on top of what's there. And I'm gratified that it's feeling about time. There's a lot more to it than that, but I think they're gonna we're gonna see a lot more interaction between the two.
I think it's a
I
good thing.
agree.
I really like the fact that and I also like the fact that it feels organic. I mean, there are a few things that just come out of nowhere, right? Like, I mean, certain ship names just show up and you're just like, oh, yes. Hello, Easter egg. But generally speaking, it's a very organic process when we get to the references, and I think that's pretty cool. And I think
Agreed.
they're doing a good job and a much better job than they have in the past.
Yeah, season 2 was direct fan service. We all know that. This is more just using it as a reference point, like it should.
Discovery.
Yes.
Like it feels more like we're interacting with it feels more like we're interacting in a world that has a history,
Exactly.
less than saying, "Hey, look over here." Sort of like the Mandalorian has had a tendency to go back to Tatooine for every fight, like for everything, and it's just kind of like, "Hey guys, it's a big galaxy,
Yeah.
BT dubs. Like there are lots of planets that are not Tatooine." You know, while we're thinking about this.
I think someone made a point in it. I can't remember which show about how we hadn't really explored the Romulans very much, and so now there's a lot of fan service, I think, to bring that out, and not just from Picard, but you have these two writing teams in the real world who are, and the same thing happened with like the crossover with like DS9 and TNG, and then you have these overlap in writing teams. Of course, they're like going to be sharing notes and talking to each other. And we've seen Cardassia, we've seen a bit of Andoria, we haven't seen like Telluride, like we haven't seen a lot of other planets. Coruscant, is it Coruscant? Maybe that's a Star Wars thing. I can't remember the name of that other planet in the beginning of the Federation, but yeah, I think we're being spoiled with Romulans and that because the writing was so good in Picard, and they go, we should run with this. This is where we are in the future. I think you'll see them claw that back after this season, maybe if they go on, and then I think they'll open up. Like really, what we're missing in Discovery is the rest of the world building.
Exactly.
All we see is like Federation headquarters, the bridge of a ship. I was so happy to see Tilly on a planet, to see her with like interacting with like other fresh eyes, other new people. Where are all the people? Yeah, I was really happy to see.
I was a little bummed actually because I really felt like Cocytus looked very much like Star Trek 2009's Delta Vega. Like there are a couple moments with the Pyrosome that are almost shot for shot identical. Except for the fact that the Pyrosome isn't actually a prolapsed sphincter, so it's a little bit different. But generally speaking, scary monster emerges from ice, tries to eat you.
Yeah. Have you ever played a game called Lost Planet? It's exactly the aesthetic from that game as Lost Planet. It's called Lost Planet. It's like an ice world where these giant spiders with like black and yellow, like throbbing like lights jump out of the snow and attack you. It's exactly the same as that game. So I immediately thought of that video game. It's called Lost Planet.
Also, can we briefly talk about the fact that they send Tilly literally to hell?
Say what?
I didn't understand that.
Yeah, I couldn't hear you for a second, Marie.
Okay,
I didn't hear you. What?
Let's talk about the fact that they sent Tilly to literal hell in this particular planet, and they even let us know that. So Cocytus is actually one of the rivers that borders Hades in Greek mythology, which is the name of this moon. Not only that, Dante Alighieri takes that same term and adapts it into Cocytus for the very final level of hell, and that's actually where Satan and Judas and I think one other person are just forever
Frozen in ice.
down
And this
there
is in
because they're
Dante's
so
Inferno,
far away
right?
from. I mean, I'm sorry.
This is in Dante's Inferno, right?
Yeah. Which is actually like the Commedia Divina is actually a 3-part work, and the Inferno is just one part of it, and it's so cold in Crucitus because that's in medieval philosophy, not embracing religion, but in medieval philosophy, the idea here is that hell is the furthest point away from the warmth of God's love, so it's going to be an icy abyss, and that's kind of what I feel like they're invoking here with this moon and the name they chose.
That
and
is a very good catch.
Impressive.
Yeah, no, I was a medieval lit nerd in college, and now it's kind of like overlapping. So like, hey guys, this is my literature degree coming out.
Like I thought they were doing like a Voyager thing with the Class L when their ship I think what was it, Timeless, where they and had an ice grave and all that, but I damn near thought it was the same planet. But not bad.
So then who's the devil?
Clearly the Jermaine? I kind of think it's an interesting thing to be in dialogue with too, because this is the level of betrayers, right? Judas, Satan, these are people who have betrayed God. And so who's the betrayer here? And that's not actually what happens, which I think is interesting, because what they take that myth and they turn it on its head, because what Tilly does is create empathy and build community and create connections between these people, and this is actually how they manage to survive, which is also fascinating, because Galileo 7, which is clearly the the emphasis here, or like the illusion they're making, that's not what happens. Like, cooperation is literally the furthest thing from what happened, furthest thing from that plot, because it's all about how everybody, it's everybody versus Spock, and Spock's the one who has the idea that gets them saved. So I did like that we've come so much further in Discovery, with Tilly basically going, rather than letting anybody be isolated, what's great about Tilly is she's like, nah, dog, we're gonna build connections. Seriously,
yes.
One of the ways that she copes with the trauma is that she instigates an icebreaker.
Yeah. Speaking of, in this instance, because Tilly is over these instances, in a sense, she's a teacher, and of course, that's what she plans on doing when she goes to Starfleet. Manny, as a teacher, you've interacted with lots of students, right? And from all different types of students, right? Some excel in group practice and some in individual assignments, and then of course, you have some who are good at both interchangeably. But right now, Starfleet's problem is how their new ensigns are so eager to prove themselves as individuals, which is basically the opposite of the Starfleet way. We also see how it's affecting Adira. What do you believe are the psychological underpinnings that make this so?
I'm sorry, the psychological underpinnings that make this so? That makes this the case?
Their reality, yeah.
I love the analogy to COVID. So it was very clear that was when they were in the hangar and they were talking about how isolated they were and whatever. And I'm like I think as teachers, for any teachers who are watching this now, you'll know that we have these fragmented students. We're doing group 1 and group 2 at my school right now, which means that they're in school one week and they're not in school another for capacity to school. Some people are fully online. But either way, there's been an estrangement. And that's sort of analogous to the burn. And so what we are noticing is that they've been learning, and there's theories of learning, like Vygotsky, the zone of proximal learning, where you're supposed to learn from the students around you, not just from the teacher. It's not just the sage on the stage, it's the guide on the side. And you sit back and you allow group dynamics to take over, and people naturally will fall into certain group dynamics. I often say, why are some kids quiet? It's because other kids are loud. You put that same kid at home, they're really loud. So given this particular mix, right, they didn't want to work together. And Tilly makes that point. I'm sorry, Culber makes that point. book, which is he says, I went to this funeral thinking nothing is gonna and Book was the same way. It's like nothing is going to let me feel good at this funeral. And he did a miraculous thing. He made Book laugh, which is really important in the healing process with grief. And now that the mind meld is sort of like fading and stuff like that. So as a teacher, you watch your kids, you become hypersensitive to them and you sort of resonate with them to allow them. What I like to do is I always defend the learning. So if one kid is too much, I allow space. It's kind of what we do as adults. We're giving space to each of us to like speak and stuff like that. Oh, I haven't heard from this person. Let's make some space for this person. This was like a teacher thing. Sometimes you have to carve that space out. Now, some kids naturally just do it. Adira wanted to be the Maverick. And that's fine because they're dealing with also knowing a bunch, but being in a physically young body. And then you had these backstories with these three other cadets that, to me, it was a little convenient that they're Ryan, who has this amazing like political activist father, like well-known, like crazy well-known, who's probably hiding it and whatever, is also in a group with someone who hates the Emerald Chain and all that stuff. And so I like seeing that moment. It's a bit convenient, but I'll take it. I'll take it with both hands.
I didn't actually think that was convenient. I actually thought that made sense. Because why would an Orion who was attached to the Emerald Chain, fuck off and join Starfleet? One. So, I mean, obviously something's going on with Harral, despite the fact that he looks about 10. So there's that. And so I sort of see that making sense, right? Like, I mean, him being the son of a political dissident, like, yeah, it makes total sense for him to be like to jump ship from the Emerald Chain and try to go like in the complete opposite direction. And then I think the same thing is true of Gorev, which, by the way, he's a Tellarite, and I was kind of like, you're so not furry enough to be a Tellarite. I was so confused by
that. That was one of my thoughts too. We finally get to see a Tellarite, and I don't recognize the species at all.
I was just like,
I mean, I will say this: at least I could grasp the concept of the Klingons because of the massive forehead ridges. But this doesn't look like a Tellarite. Yeah, the only thing I could recognize as a Tellarite was the tusks. That's the only thing that came out.
And the only reason really that that hit with me was just
he looks like the Tellarite in Prodigy. Yes, that's right.
Exactly.
Yes, that's the only similarity. Maybe they've redone the image.
He looks like an elephant bowl of shit.
The abuses of the Emerald Chain were so pervasive that it would be almost impossible for Harral to interact with any group of people and not have somebody have been victimized by the Emerald Chain.
Exactly.
So
you're not wrong.
I don't really feel like that was convenient. I just was like, this is part of the world building.
I see.
Well, this is the fallout of the Emerald Chain finally going down. And I think I think it's about time.
I'm not gonna lie. Like, I completely missed this guy and would not have. And again, I would not have picked him as a Tellarite.
Where was that?
It's from last season.
Too polite.
From last season?
Oh wow, yeah. Okay, I must have.
Maybe
when they were in the bar.
Maybe he was on drugs and like lost some hair or something.
When they first jumped and they were in that bar and those guys, those raiders, had them teaching them about programmable matter and stuff. I think that was that episode.
Okay.
Like, I'm also going to say, I mean, let's be real. The Tellarite design is terrible. The original Tellarite design was terrible.
Oh,
agreed.
God, yes. What they did in Enterprise, I thought was amazing. But
I second that.
I don't know that I can follow you down that path. I really don't. But
I do.
So I'm okay with it being. I'm really okay with it being like, being a redesign. But it would be super helpful if they would telegraph to me, like, when they redesign shit, so that I can be like,
exactly. Like, okay, yeah. At least tell us who we're looking at.
Yeah.
Maybe it's like a Tellarite cousin, kind of like what we saw, like that one Ferengi cousin with the big ugly ass head, looking something from Tremors with 2 legs. Like,
you're literally gonna have to narrow that down because they all kind of have large.
It was when they stole.
It was in Deep Space Nine. Yeah, take it, Manny. Yeah.
No, they stole Luoxana's brooch and her like hair thing. And there's a distant cousin in the bar, and he goes, and Odo like solves the case. Yeah, but Luoxana, nice.
That's my girl.
Nice.
That right there, that is our queen right there.
Like
To Major Barrett.
Try to remember the name of that species, but anyway.
I just know
I
that they're
used to know.
cousins. And
I
Right.
used to know. I can't remember anymore.
And it's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
I liked the Tellarites in Enterprise. To me, that made sense. That was an efficient design. We just made it into the 21st century, so they clearly had the funds to do it. Now this time it looks like, hey, let's make a Tellarite, but let's shave him and make him look like he's on crack. Okay, I can believe the crack part, but did you have to shave him?
Well, maybe.
He looked
But
rough.
also Gorov was too polite. Did anybody else notice? Like, he was too polite. I was like, where
Yes.
is your
Yeah,
species?
where's the insults? Where
That's
where
what
is
I'm
that?
saying.
That's how you fight. That's how you instigate stuff among the species. Is you just insult the shit out of them.
I think
That's
them
literally
using
how you communicate.
that's a
That's how you
Tellarite.
communicate.
That's a Tellarite.
That's a Tellarite. That
Now-
is a Tellarite.
Now, here we go. Now
This is bullshit.
I'm going to use a little bit of hypothetical theory here. What if it has to do with the Tellarite caste system? Because we don't know what a young Tellarite looks like, and we don't know what a Tellarite who is outside of the culture looks like. We just know what the diplomatic class and the higher clout Tellarites look like. Like the diplomats in TOS. We know what those look like. Boy, that was a mess. Then we have the Tellarites in Enterprise. Of course, they're both the same diplomatic level class of Tellarite. So it's possible that there could be different
Morphologies.
I'm really
It's like-
interested that you're seeing this as a class system.
I don't know if it's necessarily class,
they
but
almost
that's
couldn't
the only theory
do.
I could present is more like it's like, okay, I guess the way I would more look at it is, okay, if you're going to go to the State Department, you're going to see a whole bunch of people in suits. If you come to my job, you see people in khakis and pullovers. If
Again,
you
it's
go
not- again,
on
it's
a
not
construction
for the State
site, you see
Department.
tank tops and jeans. I mean,
Mm-mm-mm.
you're not
I
going
gotta tell
to
you,
see suits in a
I gotta
construction
tell you,
site.
like having worked for the State Department, there's a wide.
Agreed. I'm talking about
Why did you there?
what is shown
Um,
visually on television and what is
I mean, I may or may
normally
not have
acceptable.
checked a king at one point because I didn't realize he was a king.
But
All I know is
that's what I'm saying is maybe it's
Wait, Marie, what I heard was you kissed a king? That's what I
No, I
heard.
shoulder checked a king. Like, dude was not walking fast enough, and I needed the elevator.
No, I still hear that you kissed the king. That's all I hear.
that's what you heard. That is what she said. Now, all I know is this.
Believe me, there was no kissing of this particular king.
All I know-
I did not actually cause an international incident. I'm still amazed that I haven't at various points, but like that has not yet happened.
All I know is you cannot use 900 years of passing history as an excuse to ignore certain specifics.
Dude,
Now-
I mean, they've had the opportunity to be isolated now. Like, they're only going to be greater dicks. Like,
I mean,
Exactly.
do they have to actually
this is
look
now a
like one, though?
closed system.
Do they actually have to physically look like one?
well,
Like-
that's why I was saying what I did. Just for grins, okay. I am always
I
harsh
love this.
on
Jermaine's gonna
Discovery.
kick us all off.
I'm
He's gonna be like,
Always
"You don't have to
harsh on
watch it."
Discovery, but I want to try to be a little more benefit of the doubt, even though I hate myself for it because of how much I want to like pound on Discovery for all the inconsistencies. In giving it the
Bruce,
benefit of the
Pound
doubt,
on it, huh?
yeah, yes,
Bruce,
okay. I'm a
you
I'm a
cannot talk to me
'90s Trek fan. I
about
really
inconsistencies.
I have a hard time accepting really much else. So
Fair.
that's just an open, honest thing. I have a hard time accepting it. So
I get
I
it.
want to give it the benefit of the doubt. I'm willing to accept these as alternate styles of Tellarite if we were to see a diplomatic class that matches or is very similar to what we saw in Enterprise. If that happens, okay, I can link them all together, kind of like the Romulans. The Romulans in Discovery in this series have both the forehead mark, they have the tattoo marks of what we saw
Let's-
in in the Kelvin timeline. They have the forehead
No,
creases
no.
that we see in Next Generation, and then we have the bald-headed dome prosthetic of Picard, and then we have the human-looking ones, and then we have the Vulcans. So we have multiple instances of Vulcan or of Romulan now. And I'm looking at that. I'm like, okay, this is really cool. They're starting to roll everything together. Maybe we can finally get some consistency here and actually explain away what's going on. But
Well, I mean, there's also been a 900 years of evolution, right, that has gone on, and 900 years of evolution in the sense that they have not had the opportunity to breed with other populations. It's all been more or less centered onto a planet or maybe like your moon, is my understanding from the burn. So maybe this is the new Tellarite that has had basically we're seeing more recessive genes coming to the fore because like we have a much more narrow
there's that, yeah.
like genetic pool. Manny, this is your wheelhouse. Like I'm just spinning stuff that I'm
I was wondering what he was thinking in this moment.
Two things occur to me. One, the burn I think only happened 150 years ago?
150 years ago at that point.
Yeah. And then two, I agree. Listen, to all the haters out there, and that's everyone who don't like the Klingons, who don't like the Tellarites, who don't like the humans, don't like any of the new morphologies that you get. I get it. I'm with you. I understand that you want these standards. I feel you. I reverberate in my chest the pain, the frustration and anger of not seeing a Worf-like Klingon, a Tuvok-like Vulcan. I get it. But what I'm saying is that there are natural variations in the morphology between and on this planet. We know that in Klingon, there's 56 different variations of their language. Just like humans, we have, we don't use the word races anymore, right? But we have different haplotypes and different types of lineages that actually, as Marie said, have recessive genes that compound. Those are more Mendelian, and we have Darwinian socialism, and we have certain.
Oh my God, does that mean I got something right?
Yes, of course.
When do you not have something right?
Because I have literally no other useful skill set, so I'm
Get
just so
out.
excited
Shut
that I got
the
something
door.
I didn't see correct.
Shut the front door. You're fine. I'm glad you brought it up because it bothers me that people think that, well, this is what an Endorian looks like. And I get it. Like, for instance, Rillick, right? And I bring him back to that Enterprise episode with Daniels where he's like, are you human? He's like, mostly. Like, we need to get used to these hybrids and hybridizations because we know that, especially from Enterprise, this is where we end up with T'Pol and with Connor Trinneer's characters as Trip. So what I think you're seeing is the natural morphological variation of those planets, and they're becoming more sophisticated, but unrecognizable. So I'll go back to Marie's point, which is like, just give me a heads up. Just let me know that I'm about to see a Tellarite. They could have said, oh yeah, there's a human Tellarite in Orion. There's your, whatever, or on a pad, just literally to see it so that you're like, oh, you brace yourself very slightly.
Yeah, give us like a bio. Give us a quick rundown of a bio of who this person is and where they're from. It's not that hard to do. Now, here's the thing. Who's the crew member? Who's the cadet that died? And where are they from? And what do we know about them?
It's a lieutenant.
He's a lieutenant.
It's a lieutenant? Okay. Well, lieutenant. I must have let that slip my mind.
I thought that was a cadet. I'm sorry.
I'm like, all of a sudden we've got a red shirt. Okay.
Yellow shirt. So we were following 90 trends.
Everyone knows the red shirts turn into the yellow shirts. So
and
if you wear yellow shirt, you dead.
Insta kill. I'm like, really?
I guess I'm feeling safe.
That was brutal. Yeah, it was brutal. I felt bad. Like, and then they're all still like around the dead body, and then the dialogue is like barely skips a beat. I'm like, you're dead.
And I'm like, okay, I'm sorry. Can you carry him out of the shot for a little bit?
Man.
Yeah.
Like, who did the rapping?
Yeah.
Who did the rapping?
My vote is Adira.
Gives me just like a fever to think about it. Like, they just, whew, I get the vapors.
Like, I mean, we have other spaces on the shuttlecraft. Could you not chuck him there? Like,
I'm sure at that point, they could disintegrate and recycle.
Yeah.
He's already dead. Doesn't really matter.
Recycle.
Chuck him to the Pyrozone.
Recycle.
I'm gonna bring the conversation back to Rillick and Tarina, just as a sort of because I don't think we've spoken enough about that interaction. which is the subtle nature of that political maneuvering, which I honestly thought as a political theater was really good in bringing Rillick, and Jeremy's not going to like this, into the warmth and out of the suspicion of what we think of as her machinations, because of course these are political machinations and they're deft. We had that explanation about politics in the beginning. We didn't know where her intention stood, but bringing Burnham in to solve this without really speaking, there was a bit of a trust there. And Saru and her were sophisticated enough to pick up on that. They understood the moment. And that is what I'll go back to what Brandon said about having enough Picard. Like that was a Picard Riker thing. You have a captain and a first officer, and Saru is a captain, which I liked, who are going down and having a negotiation. They were sophisticated enough to pick up on those minute details and to understand the political implications of what was happening. I mean, especially because she's also a Navarre citizen and she'll be the bridge. Obviously, like for us as the viewer, there's a benefit for us to see that. I think they've leaned on Burnham too heavily with that solution, but I get it. The same thing happened with Picard.
This right here. This is, like you were talking about the Orion being convenient. This is what I thought was too convenient.
Agreed. Yeah.
I thought this entire plotline was not developed well enough, because the whole focus of the episode is on the Galileo 7 disaster that's going on with Tilly. And that's great, because apparently we're saying goodbye to Tilly, and that hurts my heart.
I don't think it's a permanent goodbye.
I hope it's not.
It's not a goodbye, but it might be, because think about what is one of the biggest shows that people have begged for years?
Academy.
And that's a Starfleet Academy show. I think they're setting this up so it becomes a possibility. Now, that's just me,
Predictions. Predictions.
I think that's something.
That's a prediction right there.
It would be nice, because I'm really a big fan of let's continue this trend of producing more Trek content, because again, it keeps me employed, so that's great. One, but
it keeps my depression low.
Right, but also, we went for so long with
20 years. 20 years with nothing.
And so
I grew up without anything.
And so suddenly it's like, rag on the Kelvin timeline all you want, but it brought new fans, which brought the development of new content. So you'll never hear me say this again. Thank you, J.J. Abrams.
She ain't wrong, so that's like the only nice thing I'm ever gonna acknowledge about the Kelvin Trek films. I'm done. Yeah, it kind of broke the ice. It was an icebreaker. Yeah. That's what it was.
It was a good icebreaker.
So in that vein of giving us new content, I would love to hear your predictions as quick as you possibly can for the Discovery crew by the end of this season. I think I'm going to start with William. This bastard.
William.
Okay.
I'm out of wine, or I would drink disapprovingly right now.
Hey, my water bottle is empty. Anyway,
Brandon's downing the coffee. Nice.
So this is what I think. Originally, before this season started, I thought that it was there was the Big Bang that started the whole universe and all that. Well, I thought this was going to be like the big implosion. That's what I thought. No, apparently it wasn't that bad. It's just a floating space tornado. That's all it is. But that all said, I was kind of hoping that season 4 would help us tie the short trek Calypso at the end of it. But now I don't see that happening. So it's hard for me to say what's going to happen. And we also were talking about how, oh my God, someone's going to die on the ship. Well, we knew someone was going to leave the ship. Now Tilly done left the ship. Is someone really going to die now?
Also, just as an aside, where is the petition that we signed to bring Aldous Hodge back to Star Trek?
That was a real petition? Oh my God, I would have signed it so quick. Marie, your predictions.
So my prediction is, and again, let's bear in mind that I've seen the next episode. My prediction is actually that we are going to make a reference to one of the worst episodes of Star Trek: The Next Generation,
For
and
real?
that's where we're going.
And that
Nice.
episode is
Did we already cover it?
It is not. So yeah, no, I mean I hate Code of Honor, and I think that
Code
is
of Honor.
actually the worst episode. No, I'm actually referring to the like possession episode.
Oh my god, the Beverly Crusher possession ghost episode?
No, not the sex candle. No.
Sex scandals.
Sex scandal. Sex scandal. Oh my god, that's another t-shirt.
No, like not the sex candle. I mean what is it like? It's not Contagion. It's not Conspiracy. That's the name of it. It's Conspiracy. It's the one where everybody has like the little thing on the back of their
Yeah,
neck.
yeah.
Oh,
and they're taking-
an early episode.
Yeah,
it's the end of season 2, I believe.
Oh, the Red Gill.
the Bluegills.
episode. Bluegill, sorry.
Yeah, and I think and I kind of wonder because remember at the very end of that episode,
They sent a signal.
they sent a signal, like the worms sent a signal to somebody. So
Now you're
I'm
getting
kind
into
of
the online
wondering.
game.
I'm kind of wondering.
So you're
the
saying
online
thousand
game.
years, and these folks are now coming back and are going to be like, no.
Yeah.
So you're
yeah.
saying
Right.
I need to watch that episode before I watch the newest episode of Discovery.
You really don't. You really don't. Like, I'm going to save you
That's so
45 minutes
honest.
of your life. Don't do that.
Yeah, don't do that.
Go read the Memory Alpha
Marie, I
stuff.
didn't even know Angel One was bad until you explained it to me. Hell, so I mean, like,
Dude, no, you will know. You will know. You will know. Also, except for the fact that Jonathan Frakes had to eat real live like grubs, and apparently had
He ate
is
gach?
it worth it? It's not gach. Like it's legit grub.
Oh,
Mealworms.
Oh wow.
Mealworms. Yeah.
he actually ate it.
Yep,
Yep.
he had to.
I hope he got paid extra.
Brandon predictions.
My prediction is probably going to be the most predictable one, but considering where we are and what show we're talking about, I am predicting that the end of this season will bring back Control. I don't
Combined with the
understand
Borg.
why, but I really have a very. It just seems like something that Control would do as a test of power before it decides it's going to do something further. I'll just put that there.
Okay. All right. Manny, predictions.
I'm thinking of the stellar phenomenon that's like raging, this DMA. It sort of reminds me of a graviton ellipse from this Voyager episode with 7 of 9. This thing like traveling the galaxy. They go inside and they find this like really old space sky from like early Earth.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember. It's played by this nice looking black cat who's like everywhere. I can't remember his name, but
He's a good actor. Yeah, he's a
yeah,
good
yeah.
actor. You're talking about, yeah.
I think it was Rich Stiles from Seinfeld. He played I forget his name. He was the lawyer, like the over the top lawyer.
That episode made me so sad.
It's
Like
a
I
sad
cried.
episode. Yeah, I think that this is as a stellar phenomenon. The fact that they can't quantify it, I really like that. It's pulling a lot of people together. I like that Tilly's going off on her own. In real life, I think it's because she got. I remember hearing you guys talking about how she maybe got a little thicker. Gotta say, I'm a huge fan of personally. But yeah. But I think it's because she got pregnant and they're letting her in and out so that. And I like that you'll have now a reference point at Federation HQ, and maybe you'll build up that thing. And back to Brandon's idea about Academy and such. So my prediction really of the whole season is Saru. Again, like Burnham and Saru. I think Brandon said it earlier about Kaminar being quite prominent, and as a example, maybe we've already seen that example with Nivar, like where he mentioned how they're coexisting as the Baul and so forth. He's having a hard time. No one is addressing Saru, and he's one of my favorite characters in the season because I'm waiting for him to play his hand. We've seen Book; it was dramatic. We see what he's dealing with, so there's less mystery there. for me, I'm interested in how they unfold Saru and Burnham. Of course, will go along. I love the moment at the end with Tilly and Burnham. Honestly, I felt a little misty. I'm like, oh, I'm invested in this, whatever. I'm not really invested in Grey and Adira. I feel I need time with that to sit. Now that you have this other physical being outside of Adira's body, and Colbert and Stamets, like they're still proximal. And the other engineer lady, who we haven't seen, is she in the future with them?
Tigataro comes back.
Yeah,
This is not a spoiler, but
Okay.
Tigataro comes back.
There's
and
so
I
many
love
good
her. I
characters
love
they
Jet
haven't
Reno.
played.
I love Jet
Like,
Reno.
their
And
world
I need
building
to
and
pick more of
Yeah.
her.
Yeah,
So
she was really great. So yeah, we're like 6 minutes over, and I still have my
Sorry.
prediction. No,
Please
it's
go.
all good. It's all good. So I'm gonna read mine. So Relic is really Section 31, and the DMA is their technology, meaning Section 31's technology that they lost control of. Book tries to kill her, but Burnham talks him out of it. Relic, on the other hand, never to be defeated, tries to kill Book or Grudge, take your pick, But Burnham kills her.
No,
As she cries or
Grudge is violent.
screams,
What the hell, Jermaine?
screams, you damn Cardi. Oh, and Grudge the cat will be there to run over her dead body.
You really thought this through.
Damn.
I gotta tell you, like I really
It had to be
invest
funny.
in whatever wine Jermaine normally drinks because
I
mine
want to
is
know
not
what
this
comic
good.
book he just got done reading.
I know, right? Like, I mean, in a minute,
That is some
he's gonna
honky-tonk
tell me that,
bullshit.
like,
I'm sorry.
he's gonna tell me that Grudge
Like,
is
that's
like
just
a
not
Marvel
right.
cat, and that she is also going to like eat everyone.
So y'all just gonna leave Spot out of this, okay?
Look, now it's time to close. This ends our 4th live episode of Trekker's Delight. Stay tuned to next week's episode titled The Examples. We are going to provide you with additional content about Discovery and her crew. As a reminder, we will post near daily on YouTube and Anchor Podcast. On Mondays, we will post our LGB Trek show. Tuesdays, we'll post our Techno Trek show. Wednesdays are either our What If Wednesdays or Fight the Patriarchy. Of course, our live shows are on Thursdays. Fridays are our News Flash Friday, and rounding the week out is our Section 31 Saturdays. As always, please like
on Sunday.
please like, follow, subscribe, add, comment, and share to stay delighted in Trek. As always, I'm Jermaine Watson, and you've been listening or watching Trekker's Delight. May you have peace and long life. Where's this video?
I love it.